Hey guys, welcome back. So today I am bringing you a book that I read a little bit of a while ago, but I've been meaning to talk about it for so long because nobody knows about it, and it's so frustrating because it's genuinely such a good book, and everyone in like my generation is missing out, and I can't have that happen anymore. The book in question is The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander. What is it about? Okay, so that's a great question because the title doesn't really give much away. So it starts out with Taryn, and he's like a teenage boy, and he's an assistant pig keeper, and he basically has to take care of an oracular pig named Henwan, and Taryn doesn't seem to like that too much because he wants to be a hero, like the one you read about in stories in your fairy tales. But instead, he just has to take care of Henwan, and then she runs away. And of course, he has to go find her. But this being a book, it's just not about finding a little pig that's very special. He also realizes that along the way, he will have to fight off the evil forces of the Horn King and also the forces of the evil King Aron. So basically, finding Little Pig turns into how can I not get killed by any of these two guys? Now, the setting, it's a bit like a fantasy medieval setting. If I had to compare it to a book that I'm sure you already know, I would say that it's more like The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. And if you do remember this movie, it's Ella Enchanted from Disney. It's the movie starring Anne Hathaway. That's the type of setting I would say The Book of Three has, which is very cute. And it's hard to find books that have that particular setting for me, which made it very enjoyable. So if you like fantasy, medieval style type of settings, you should consider looking into this one because it makes it very interesting and it just adds excitement to it. But the setting isn't all, and what clearly steals the shows are the characters. And Taryn is our main character, and at the beginning of the book, I have to admit he's not the best. He's a little bit rough around the edges, but the neat thing that Lloyd Alexander does is that by the end of the book, Taryn's still himself, but you can tell that he matured and he learned from his mistakes, and it's great because he did it in a really dynamic and good way without feeling it like it was forced. But besides him, there's characters like Prince Gwydion, who basically is Taryn's celebrity crush. I mean, Taryn just idolizes him and wants to be like him when he grows up. And then there's Princess Iloni, who she is just amazing. She's just the best. She's very headstrong. She clashes with Taryn a lot, and I think that's what makes them so much fun. And then there's characters like Flutter Flam, who were definitely thrown in as a comedic relief type of character. But the neat thing about comedic relief is that even if they were just meant to be funny, they also help the plot in the sense that they don't just stand there being funny, they contribute something to the story. So every character has their own role at their own given time, and I think that just makes the story so much more dynamic. The amount of characters is just right, there's just not too many or too little, so I think that makes it very interesting because I personally don't like it when I have too many characters and I can't keep track of who's who. That definitely didn't happen to me in this book, and the pacing was good most of the times. That is the only shortcoming that I found. Sometimes the pacing was a little bit slow, and I didn't always like that, but when it finally picked up, it was definitely very good, and it just kept you on your toes. If you're wondering how long this is, the Book of Three, it's very short. It's not even 200 pages. I think what makes it look thicker than it really is, it's the fact that they decided to add an excerpt from the second book because, surprise, the Book of Three is the first installment in a series called The Chronicles of Prydain, and on the back you can see that it has, here shows the first four books, and here is a companion story. So you have a lot if you do decide that this is for you. I think that's actually really great because the first book wraps up really nicely, but there's still a lot of questions that could be answered and they're explored in later books. So I think it's a very good setup. If you do decide to read The Book of Three, I will tell you that it is a children's book, so it's very simple language-wise. The only place where you might struggle, it will be the names because they're of Welsh origin, but there's a very easy solution for that problem. So they added a pronunciation guide, and I think that's super handy because you have the main character's name, and it goes on to a second page because they included names of places, names of swords, names of characters, you name it, it's there. They got you covered. So other than that, there's really no difficulty in the language, and it's a simple story, but it's exciting and it keeps it new, and I think you should read it because not enough people know about this book.